We tell the story of humanity as this grand epic, this story of conquest. But today, we're going to explore a totally different idea, a much more fragile one, and one that really challenges how we see ourselves. We have this deep-seated belief that we were meant to conquer the world, that it was our destiny. But what if that whole story is wrong? What if our being here today has nothing to do with power and everything to do with a series of cosmic accidents that just happen to fall in our favor? So, to really dig into that question, we have to start with the story we already tell ourselves. It's a powerful one, a comforting one. You could call it the survivor's myth. And that myth goes something like this. We're here because we were just plain smarter. Better. Our incredible minds made our dominance of this planet absolutely inevitable. It feels like a fact, doesn't it? Okay, but let's just set that myth aside for a minute and pivot to the harsh reality. Let's look at the world our ancestors were actually born into. A world that was, in pretty much every way, stacked against them. The truth is, we didn't start out as champions. We were weak. So much weaker than the animals around us. We were slow, we were fragile, with no natural armor. We were completely exposed. Honestly, we were basically born to be lunch. And the planet itself? Oh, it was a relentless opponent. It threw these immense challenges at us, like brutal, unforgiving ice ages that just completely changed the world. And if it wasn't ice, it was the opposite. Catastrophic drought that could turn entire landscapes to dust and wipe out every single food source for years. And yeah, let's not forget, for most of our history, we were not at the top of the food chain. We were prey, constantly hunted by predators that were bigger, faster, and a heck of a lot stronger than we were. All of this, the weakness, the climate, the predators, it all led to the most constant threat of all, the daily, grinding reality of starvation. That was the default setting for early humans. Now, the myth would tell you our intelligence was the ultimate trump card against all this. But the actual evidence, the bones and the genes, tells a very different and much more humbling story. A lot of the time, our intelligence was simply not enough. Our story isn't some clean, straight line of progress. No, it's a messy path of survival, and it's full of these terrifying moments where our species was pushed right to the absolute brink. Moments where extinction wasn't some abstract idea, it was right there knocking on the door. So how close did we get? It's pretty staggering. At our lowest point, geneticists think the total number of breeding humans on the entire planet might have dropped to around 10,000. Just think about that. That's the population of a small town today. A small town's worth of people scattered across the whole world. That's all that was left. And this near-extinction event wasn't just bad luck. It lined up with catastrophic global events, like the Toba supervolcano eruption about 75,000 years ago. An eruption so massive it plunged the planet into a volcanic winter, causing a climate collapse that nearly wiped us out for good. And when you're facing a disaster on that scale, what good is intelligence, really? I mean, who cares if you have a perfectly made spear when there are no animals left to hunt? What good is a brilliant escape plan when the climate is collapsing everywhere at once? Our best tools, our smartest plans, they just fell apart. So if our brains alone didn't save us, what else was going on? Well, this brings us to the real heart of it all. The huge and often ignored role of just a random roll of the dice. Pure chance. Look at it this way. There were some things we could control, right? Like making a better tool or planning a hunt. But then there were the massive things, the random events that really decided our fate. Things we had zero control over, like a river suddenly changing course or a volcano erupting on the other side of the planet. What this means is that survival often had less to do with being smart and more to do with being lucky. It came down to a small group happening to move just before a drought hit, or finding themselves in a little valley that was sheltered from a volcanic winter. These weren't genius strategies, they were just fortunate accidents. And once you really accept the role that pure chance played, it forces you to completely reframe our entire story. It changes how we see ourselves. We have to move away from this idea of being conquerors and embrace a more honest title. We are survivors. So here's maybe a new definition for us. Humanity isn't the planet's chosen champion. We are, quite simply, the descendants of the lucky few who managed to slip through the cracks while the jaws of extinction were closing all around them. And that's what's so wild about it. Think about all the species that are gone now. Species that were stronger than us, faster than us, way better adapted to their environments than our fragile ancestors were. They disappeared forever. And yet, somehow, against all odds, here we are. So, why does this matter now? What's the big deal? Well, what's so dangerous about believing our survival was a sure thing? It's that this myth of being destined conquerors makes us arrogant. It blinds us to the fact that we are still, right now, incredibly fragile. Seeing our story this way, it replaces that arrogance with a real sense of humility. Understanding the massive role of chance is a powerful reminder that our spot here isn't and never was guaranteed. In the end, humanity didn't win survival. It narrowly escaped extinction.